The greatest general in history won most of his battles before they even started. Sun Tzu, a military genius who understood something most warriors never learn. The secret to victory isn't strength or courage or skill, it's timing. Knowing when to move and when to wait. And most people lose not because they're weak, but because they move too soon. They act before the moment is right. They attack when they should be still. And that impatience destroys them. What Sun Tzu understood about patience could change every conflict you face, if you're willing to learn it. So let's go back. About 2,500 years ago, ancient China. Constant warfare, kingdoms fighting for survival, and most generals think war is about aggression, about attacking first, about never showing weakness, about constant action. But Sun Tzu sees something different. He watches battles, studies victories and defeats, and he notices a pattern. The generals who win aren't always the most aggressive. They're the most patient. They wait for the right moment, and when that moment comes, they strike decisively. It's not about being passive, it's about being strategic, about conserving energy while your enemy wastes theirs, about letting situations develop until victory becomes easy, almost inevitable. He sees impatient generals rush into battle. They're eager, aggressive, ready to prove themselves. And they walk straight into traps. They exhaust their armies. They make mistakes. They lose not because they're weak, but because they couldn't wait. And he sees patient generals. They're calm, watching, waiting. And everyone thinks they're being cowards, that they're afraid to fight, that they're wasting time. But they're not wasting time. They're investing it. They're waiting for the enemy to make mistakes, to get tired, to expose weaknesses. And when the moment comes, when everything aligns, they move. Fast, decisive, overwhelming, and they win easily because they waited for easy to be possible. Sun Tzu writes this down. He says, "The good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat, and then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy." Read that again. First, make yourself safe, secure your position, make sure you can't lose. Then wait, don't attack yet, just wait, and watch for the enemy to create an opening, to make a mistake, to give you the opportunity. Most people do the opposite. They attack when they're vulnerable. They move before they're ready. They create opportunities for the enemy to defeat them. And they wonder why they keep losing. Sun Tzu says patience isn't weakness. Patience is preparation. It's refusing to fight on the enemy's terms. It's creating the conditions where victory becomes inevitable. And then, only then, taking action. He tells a story. There's an army facing a stronger opponent. The generals want to attack, to prove their courage, to take action. But Sun Tzu says no. Wait, so they wait. Days, weeks, and the enemy gets frustrated. They start making mistakes. Their discipline breaks down. They waste resources. They get tired. And then Sun Tzu attacks. Not when the enemy is strong, when they're weak, when they're exhausted from waiting, when they're vulnerable from their own impatience. And he wins icily, because he waited for easy to be possible. That's the secret. Patience isn't about never acting, it's about acting at the right time. And the right time is usually later than you think, later than you want, later than feels comfortable. Because here's what Sun Tzu understood about human nature. Most people can't wait. Waiting feels like losing. It feels like nothing's happening. It feels like you're being passive. So people act just to do something, just to feel like they're making progress. But that premature action is what loses battles. That's what creates opportunities for defeat. That's what exhausts you before the real fight even begins. He said, He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. That second part is what everyone misses. Knowing when not to fight. Having the discipline to wait even when every instinct says move. Having the patience to let situations develop instead of forcing them. This is the hardest skill to learn. Because patience looks like nothing. It looks like you're just sitting there. Just waiting. Just doing nothing. And society hates that. Society values action, movement, hustle, doing something, anything. Even if it's wrong. But Sun Tzu says that mentality loses wars. Smart warriors wait. They conserve energy. They let the enemy tire themselves out. They wait for confusion to create openings. They wait for time to weaken positions. They wait for the moment when action becomes devastatingly effective. And when that moment comes, they don't hesitate. They move fast. They strike hard. They win decisively, because they saved all their energy for that one perfect moment instead of wasting it on 100 imperfect ones. Now let's bring this to your life. Because you're probably too impatient. You're probably acting when you should be waiting. You're probably forcing things that need time to develop. And it's costing you. Think about your career. You want to move up, get promoted, make more money. So you push. You ask for raises before you've earned them. You apply for jobs you're not ready for. You make moves before you've built the foundation. Sun Tzu would say you're attacking too early. You're exposing yourself to defeat. Wait, build your skills, build your reputation, build your value, make yourself irreplaceable. Then, when the moment is right, when you're truly ready, make your move. And it'll work because you waited until success was almost guaranteed. Or think about relationships. You meet someone, you like them, and you want to rush into it. Define the relationship. Make commitments. Force intimacy. Because waiting feels like you're losing them. Like someone else might get there first. Like you need to act now. But Sun Tzu would say, slow down. Let the relationship develop naturally. Let trust build over time. Let them reveal who they really are. Because rushing in is how you end up with the wrong person. Patience lets you see clearly. And clear sight prevents mistakes. Here's another one. You're in a conflict. Someone challenges you, insults you, attacks you. And your instinct is to respond immediately. To defend yourself. To fight back right now. But Sun Tzu would say, wait. Don't react in the heat of the moment. Don't engage when your emotions are high. Wait until you're calm, until you can think clearly. Until you can respond strategically instead of emotionally. Because in that emotional state, you'll say things you regret. Make things worse. Give your opponent exactly what they want. But if you wait, if you let the moment pass, often you'll see that responding at all isn't worth it. That silence is more powerful than any comeback. This is what patience actually is. Not just waiting, but strategic waiting. Waiting with purpose. Conserving your energy and attention for the moments that actually matter. Refusing to waste yourself on battles that don't deserve you. Sun Tzu also taught something else about patience. He said, rapidity is the essence of war. Wait, didn't he just say to be patient? How can you be both patient and rapid? That's the paradox. That's the skill. You wait a long time, days, weeks, months, you're patient, you're watching, you're preparing, and everyone thinks you're slow. Cautious, maybe even weak, but you're not slow. You're waiting for the right moment. And when that moment comes, you move fast, decisively, overwhelmingly. You're not patient anymore, you're rapid. You strike before anyone can respond. You win before they know the battle started. That's the balance. Patience in preparation, speed in execution. Most people do it backwards. They rush into things without preparation. And then, when the moment comes, they hesitate. They're slow. They miss the opportunity they created through impatience. Sun Tzu says, do the opposite. Take all the time you need to prepare, to position yourself, to wait for the right conditions, and then move so fast that victory is instant. This is what separates masters from amateurs. Amateurs are impatient in preparation and hesitant in action. Masters are patient in preparation and decisive in action. Think about it in your life. How many times have you rushed into something without thinking, made a quick decision that you regretted, acted impulsively and paid for it later? And how many times have you hesitated when you should have moved, waited too long, overthought, missed an opportunity because you couldn't pull the trigger? Sun Tzu's teaching fixes both problems. Be patient until the moment is right, but when it's right, move immediately. No hesitation, no second guessing, just action. This requires judgment, knowing the difference between patience and procrastination, between waiting for the right moment and avoiding action out of fear. That's the skill. That's what takes years to develop. But the principle is simple. Don't move until you're ready. But when you're ready, don't wait. That's the balance. That's the power of patience combined with decisiveness. Sun Tzu won battles through this principle. He'd wait while enemies exhausted themselves, wait while they made mistakes, wait while they created their own defeats, and then, when victory was practically guaranteed, he'd strike, fast, overwhelming, final, and people called him a genius. But it wasn't genius, it was discipline. The discipline to wait when every instinct said attack. The discipline to be still when everyone expected movement. The discipline to trust that the right moment would come if he was patient enough to let it. Most people will never develop this discipline. They'll keep rushing, keep forcing, keep acting before they're ready, and they'll keep losing because of it. They'll blame bad luck or strong opponents or unfair circumstances. But really, they just moved too soon. You can be different. You can learn what Sun Tzu taught, that patience is power, that waiting is strategy, that the best time to act is usually not now. It's when conditions align, when you're prepared, when victory becomes easy. And that requires something rare. The ability to be comfortable with stillness, with apparent inaction, with looking like you not making progress when you actually setting up the conditions for massive progress. Sun Tzu's armies waited while others rushed to their doom, and when the moment came, they moved, and they won. Not through strength, through timing, through patience that created the perfect moment, and then speed that seized it. That's the secret. That's the power. That's what separates those who win from those who just try hard and lose anyway. The greatest victories aren't won through action. They're won through knowing when to act, and that knowledge comes from patience. Subscribe for more ancient strategies that still win today.